Well, after years of advocating for U.S. isolationism, that's to say, vowing to end ongoing wars and refusing to join future ones, Donald Trump has made a full 180. The U.S. president officially joining the war in Iran with Israel, carrying out massive strikes on 3 key nuclear sites in the country. Iran's Atomic Energy Agency confirming that those attacks hit its Fordo, Isfahan, and Natanz sites. Take a listen to the U.S. president.
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime, Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
Well, earlier, the International Atomic Energy Agency also added that in addition to the 4 buildings that were previously hit by Israel at Isfahan, 6 others at that same site have now also been attacked. That includes a fuel rod production facility. For the latest, we're going to cross to our correspondent in Washington, Fraser Jackson. Hi, Fraser. So there had been some division amongst Republicans, at least in the lead up to these strikes. Again, many of them citing Donald Trump's campaign promise to not get involved in future wars in the Middle East. Where do things stand now? Are Republicans fully backing Donald Trump?
This really had been quite a lightning rod issue with a lot of the more right-wing members of the MAGA movement. One of the things I loved most about Donald Trump, aside from his policy on the economy and the border, was the fact that he had vowed never to get involved in any more of these forever wars. He's constantly railed against the US's missteps in foreign policy over the last 20 or so years in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he called Kamala Harris in the most recent election the war candidate and called himself the peace candidate. Well, when this was brewing over the course of the last couple of days, there were many on the right who were outspoken about how much they didn't think this was a good idea, that Donald Trump should not go down this path. That included some very senior former advisors like Steve Bannon, even people who are still in Congress who are very close allies like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and even political commentators like Tucker Carlson and Charlie Kirk. They have maintained that for the most part. Marjorie Taylor Greene, it should be said, has softened her stance somewhat, but chiefly most Republicans in Congress, this has kind of crystallized their support for Donald Trump. Now, Lindsey Graham, who is an Israel hawk, said on Twitter, "Good, this was the right call. The regime deserves it. Well done, President Trump." Chiefly as well, a response from Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, who said that the military operations in Iran should serve as a clear reminder to our adversaries and allies that President Trump means what he says. The president gave Iran's leader every opportunity to make a deal, but Iran refused to commit to a nuclear disarmament agreement. Also agreeing with Donald Trump's decision was Senator Roger Wicker, who was the Republican chairman of the Armed Services Committee. He called the strike a deliberate and correct decision, and also said we now have very serious choices ahead to provide security for our citizens and our allies and stability for the Middle East. But it's not all been for. Some Republicans have come out against these strikes. One Republican whose name has been in the headlines a lot for the last couple of days, standing against this plan, was the Republican representative of Kentucky, Thomas Massie, who said that this is not constitutional. Massie has also been a co-sponsor of a resolution that was trying to block any military action in Iran without congressional approval. Now, he basically siding with the Democrats, saying that this was not a constitutional act, but the Republicans who are for Donald Trump will argue that this was a stand-alone act and therefore not an act of war, so therefore did not need congressional approval, and Donald Trump likely will agree with them on that.
Now, Fraser, the U.S. president also said that these strikes obliterated those 3 Iranian nuclear sites. It's worth mentioning that the IAEA said earlier today that little nuclear material was hit, at least in the latest strikes on Isfahan. So is there any evidence for now that Donald Trump's claim is true?
Multiple atomic agencies have said that they've not detected any leaked radiation from these sites. It should be noted as well that it normally takes a couple of days for these battle damage assessments, the BDAs as they're called, to kind of come through and for the kind of everything to shake out. Now, Donald Trump said very quickly that these sites have been obliterated. Goes without saying that it's kind of hard to see how they could tell that, considering that these strikes happened in the middle of the night. So aerial photography would have been very difficult. A lot of the Iranians didn't really know in the media aftermath how badly damaged these places were. But Donald Trump will likely have been going off the fact that the US said they dropped 6 bunker busters on Fordo, but the Iranians are still standing firm and saying that the damage was not that extensive and it was only really to an exit and entry tunnel. They also say that Fordo had long been abandoned because they were aware that these kind of tensions existed. So it's kind of premature at the moment to say that these sites have been wiped off of the map, but the assessments will be ongoing, and of course this is going to become something which the Iranians try to spin and that the Americans also try to spin in their own favor as well.
Fraser Jackson, thank you very much.